Module 4, the element fire or light. We know today that man is essentially a being of light, and the modern science of photobiology is presently proving this. Light has always been synonymous with beauty, goodness, cheerfulness, and health. We talk about a healthy glow, how someone is full of light, radiant with beauty, light-hearted. We tell people to lighten up, or you light up my life. In this video, we'll mainly be looking at light for health and healing purposes. In fact, light has been used for medicine for thousands of years. The ancient Egyptians, Romans, Greeks, and other major cultures made significant uses of light in therapy. So what is light? Something so simple is actually very, very complex. When we think of light, we typically think of visible light, which is 400 to 700 nanometers. But the electromagnetic spectrum is much, much, much wider than this. We're only seeing a little tiny sliver of light that's coming from the sun. Light itself is made of incredibly small, tiny, massless particles called quanta, or photons. They travel like waves, but interact with matter like particles and actually carry energy, momentum, and information. So let's look at light and how it pertains to life on Earth. Albert Szent-Györgyi, Nobel Prize winner in discover vitamin C, recognized how profoundly important light and color was for us, and from his work he concluded all the energy that we take into our bodies is derived from the sun. He saw that through the process of photosynthesis, the sun's energy is stored in plants, which in turn is eaten by animals and humans, and the digestion and assimilation by animals and humans are concerned with the breaking down, transferring, storing, and utilizing this light-created energy from the sun. So let's look at light as a multi-vitamin. That's going to be one of the themes of this video, is that we need light as an essential element of health, just like we need food, water, oxygen, sleep, and the other essential elements, PEMF, that I've talked about in my book. As a multivitamin, we mainly need the frequencies that are coming from the sun. And it turns out the peak frequencies are the visible light spectrum, infrared, which accounts for 51%, visible is 47%, and UV, which is about 2%. So now we're going to kind of look at the human body as a photocell. Like this being of light that we are is able to receive light and actually create energy from light, not just by eating food, but we'll see in a minute through human photosynthesis. Now, we eat food with our mouth, but we take in light mainly through our eyes and our skin. So we're going to kind of look at the eyes and the skin in this video. Let's start with the eyes. Have you ever noticed when you meet someone how much their eyes reveal? They have light in their eyes, or sometimes sadness, happiness. There's a lot you can see from someone's eyes. And the interesting thing, eyesight, which we won't get into in this video, is a very complex process, but there's much more to light in the eyes than just eyesight. In fact, back in the 1970s, it was discovered that light is basically regulates and relays information to the rest of your body through the nervous system and the endocrine system. In fact, we'll see also the communications through biophotons are also mediated by light. Now, besides the eyes, the skin also has light receptors, and this is a whole science called dermal optics. Now, looking at the eyes as the window of the soul, and it really is, as Shakespeare said. But the eyes are also the mirrors of the body, meaning the science of iridology, look at these charts here, the whole body is encoded in the iris. When you're out getting full spectrum light, you can think that your eyes are energizing all your organs. Now, what about light as an energy source? We saw in the last video on water, as Dr. Jerry Pollack found, that infrared and light can cause charge separation and create energy in the body. So we're going to take it a step further here, in that we're going to talk about human photosynthesis, which Dr. Herrera is one of the pioneers in this field. Dr. Herrera and his team, that up to 33% of the energy in our body comes from light. And the major players are melanin, especially hemoglobin. You can see this picture here. Hemoglobin and chlorophyll in plants actually look almost identical. And melanin, unlike chlorophyll, absorbs all the energies from the whole electromagnetic spectrum, where chlorophyll mainly absorbs the visible light. So this is a very, very broad topic, and we don't have time to get into it in detail in this video, but just try to start seeing the body as a photocell that can actually photosynthesize and extract energy from light. Nobel Prize nominee Fritz Popp describes the biofield we talked about in video 1 in different terms, he uses the idea of biophotons and this biophotonic field of energy and information to basically describe the biofield. The main sort of antenna of the biophotons is DNA and RNA, but other very large macromolecules can also send and receive light. So think of the body as a holographic field of energy and information, very dynamic and evolutionary, and responds to the environment. So it's not like a static hologram. But this field of energy and information is mainly a biophotonic field of light. We literally are bodies of light. Now, how can we charge our body biofield, this body of light? Well, first is sunlight. It's called heliotherapy. And something as pleasurable as sunbathing, there must be something to that why it feels so good. And heliotherapy, as we mentioned, goes way back to the ancient Greeks and Egyptians, but there's a lot of good modern-day research to show that sunlight is a multivitamin, that it does give your body energy, as we saw with photosynthesis in creating energy in the body, but there's many, many other benefits that light provides, just kind of looking at it from a more physiological perspective. So some of the benefits, these are all research proven. When you get out in the sun, it helps with skin disorders, seasonal affective disorder, which we'll talk about in a little bit, reducing body odor. It's been shown to lower cholesterol and blood pressure, and there's really good studies on that. It helps to lower blood sugar and helps with diabetics. It helps to boost the immune system. It helps to reduce bacteria and infections, helps with DNA repair, helps with relaxation. Many, many other benefits from sunbathing. Now, there's some energetic properties, kind of looking at it from this more energy medicine perspective, is that sunlight therapy has been shown to increase oxygenation. One study found that sunlight increases both oxygen content of human blood and its ability to deliver oxygen to the cells, just like PMF therapy does. Sunlight creates easy water, as we've talked about in the last video. Increases ATP production, which is the direct currency of energy. Increases biophotons and life energy through the meridians and the subtle energy pathways. Improves hormones, as we'll see, melatonin, HGH, sex hormones, serotonin, and more. Enhances enzyme activities. So again, remember we talked about enzymes and hormones being little physical manifestations of the biofield and life energy. So much benefit. In fact, Dr. Zane Kim, in his book Sunlight, presents research showing how sunbathing has the same benefits of exercise. Now, you do have to be smart, depending on your skin tone and your skin color. But typically, sunbathing in the late morning or late afternoon, again, without sunscreen, and we'll get into that in a minute, is very, very healthy for the body. In fact, all the benefits we just mentioned. But if you're a very fair skin type, you might want to start off really slow, less than 20 minutes for starters. If you got a darker skin type, you can do longer, but the key is you don't want to burn. In fact, you don't want to even get to that point where you're close to burning. So it's going to take you some understanding of your own skin type and body to get the right amount of sunlight per day. Again, you just don't want to burn mainly. But the bottom line is the sun is good for you. Stop listening to sunscreen companies and the American Academy of Dermatology, which gets all its funding from these sunscreen companies. Like everything, moderation is the key. Yes, you can overdo sunlight therapy and you can do too much. But keep in mind that most of the studies showing the negative effects of sunlight have pretty shaky methodologies, with some of them being just pure garbage financed by people that want you to buy UV-resistant sunglasses and sunscreens. So as an example, there was a study reported by the American Journal of Ophthalmology in March 1982 that used monkeys that were tied down with their eyelids clamped wide open. Then, with these fully dilated pupils, they were exposed to beams of 2,500 watt lamps for 16 minutes. And apparently this caused retinal damage. Okay, this is just kind of an exaggerated example to show how some of these studies are really just almost ridiculous. If you are going to spend a lot of time, like on a boat or at the beach, yes, you want to protect yourself and cover yourself and use a natural sunscreen. But I have been researching this for a long time, and I really have some things for you to take away here. Why sunlight is not the cause of skin cancer and all these problems. There's actually many other things that are going on that people just aren't aware of. For example, look at a plant that withers in the sun. Well, it withers because of lack of water and lack of antioxidants. So maybe if we fully hydrate our body and have a diet that's rich in antioxidants, then we wouldn't have the problems with the skin that some people do. In fact, I know some people that have spent hours in the sun and their skin is glowing, over many years, many decades even. So obviously there's something else going on here. Here's a list of 10 things you can consider. One is trans fats in the diet. So trans fats, as Johanna Budwig, who talks about flaxseed oil too, one of the big proponents of healthy fat, saw that UV light and polyunsaturated oils did not mix well, meaning the unhealthy fats, the trans fats. Chlorine. Chlorine's a free radical. So when you take a shower with chlorinated water, you got free radicals on your skin. Then you go out in the sun, and the sun interacts with that. Artificial lighting, chemicals in sunscreens, lotions, and potions. All these, not just the sunscreens, but a lot of skin products that people wear are loaded with chemicals, and it's the chemicals that interact with the sun. Dehydration, as we mentioned. Now, toxins, when you're sweating, and if you're really toxic, those toxins can interact with the sunlight. Lack of exercise, lack of antioxidants, and like I said, unnatural sunscreens. The takeaway here is if you have a clean diet, use a shower filter, make sure you're well hydrated, take plenty of antioxidants. And antioxidant I really like is bioastin or astaxanthin. There's not enough time to get into that here, but it's one of the best antioxidants for your skin. Just a little word about UV. UV light is actually good for you. Again, in moderation. You don't want to overdo it. And you want to try to get those times of the day that aren't peak UV outputs. But the thing is for millions of years, life on Earth has evolved under the constant influence of natural sunlight, which contains like 2% UV. So I'm not for necessarily using UV tanning beds, but the natural amount of UV found in natural sunlight, we've evolved for millions of years with it, so of course we can handle it. In fact, here's a chart from Jacob Leiterman's book, excellent book. I highly recommend Light, the Medicine of the Future. And there's research behind all these 10 points on why we need UV light or ultraviolet light. UV light activates vitamin D synthesis, which a lot of people know, lowers blood pressure, increases heart performance, helps with lowering cholesterol, weight loss, psoriasis, many other ailments. In fact, there's a list in one source from 165 diseases. UV light promotes the production of sex hormones, activates skin hormones, and it's a nutrient that's actually needed to absorb certain vitamins and minerals besides vitamin D. And you want to get your whole solar panel out there, I tell people. There's a lot of benefits to vitamin D as well that goes right along with the UV that we just talked about, reducing cancer. Vitamin D is almost more of a hormone than it is a vitamin, and it has some very, very key roles, not just in bone health, but in your immune system, in diabetes and depression and cardiovascular disease and flus and boosting your immunity and much, much more. So what if you have to work indoors a lot or you live in parts of the world where there's not a lot of sunlight? Well, like Victor Schauberger always said, if you can't get directly nature's best elements, then just try to comprehend and copy nature as best as possible. And in this case, it's making full spectrum light bulbs. That is, light bulbs that have a full spectrum of light that best mimics the sun. Unfortunately, most of the light bulbs used in classrooms, in the workplace, and just industry in general are unnatural fluorescent lights or incandescent lights. There's been some really good research to show that when you have full spectrum light bulbs versus unnatural light bulb spectrums, you get, for example, in the classroom, kids will learn better, perform better. They'll be better behaved. In the workplace, you're going to have better performance, less sick days, and enhanced, better vision and less eye strain because, full spectrum light is going to give you a clear picture of whatever's going on in front of you. A couple companies that make some really good light bulbs are Chromolux, Verilux, and you can go on Amazon and you can see some really well-reviewed full-spectrum fluorescent light bulbs, full-spectrum spotlights, full-spectrum just regular light bulbs, etc. Color therapy is another really fascinating topic in energy medicine, and there is so much to say how the colors go along with the chakras and different colors for different effects. But there is some really good research showing how different colors help to enhance certain enzymes and hormones in the body and have different healing effects. Actually, published research that, for example, blue light helps with arthritis. Blue light also helps with the metabolism of cholesterol and jaundice. Red or infrared helps with pain and migraines and wrinkles. They use pink light in prisoner cells to calm people down. Athletes will use the color red for energy, blue for endurance, etc. But basically, full spectrum light, when you're getting it out in the sun or with full spectrum light bulbs, you're getting all the colors of the spectrum. It's like a multivitamin or a multivitamin. But now I want to take a look at the two most important color ideas that you need to understand for synchronizing your circadian rhythms to optimize serotonin and melatonin release. You want serotonin for happy days and melatonin for sleepy nights. The key is bright full spectrum light in the daytime that does have parts of the blue in it. And again, blue light is not in typical complex fluorescence or fluorescent tubes or even incandescent lights. But now at nighttime, you don't want those full spectrum lights anymore. You actually want more of the red, orange, or amber. You can get these low blue light, amber light bulbs. The pineal gland can't see these, and it won't inhibit melatonin release. And that brings us to melatonin and the light cycles. Melatonin is secreted by your pineal gland. There is just so much benefits to melatonin besides just a good night's sleep. It's anti-aging, it boosts the immune system, helps with migraines, it's anti-cancer, antidepressive, all these benefits. This is so important because melatonin not only puts your body to sleep, but it also puts cancer to sleep. Some strategies and tips that are very practical here to maximize your melatonin release is to get that bright full spectrum light during the day, and at nighttime, at least within a couple hours before bed, try to use really dim lights. If you can get those amber lights, I like lowbluelights.com. They got some really great products. It really is important the last 2 hours before bedtime to do your best to really minimize bright light. Things you can do, you can meditate, you can read with an amber light, you can take a hot bath. You just do some things to kind of wind down besides looking at your computer, your iPhone, or your iPad, or watching TV. Now, if you're going to watch TV, just make sure you got those blue blocker goggles on. So now that brings us to infrared. We've talked about full spectrum, visible light. We've talked about UV. 51% of the light from the sun now is infrared. Infrared light kind of gives us warmth. I want to talk about infrared in terms of detox and infrared therapy because one of the greatest tools for detox, in my opinion, along with PMF therapy and drinking plenty of water, as we talked about, and a good diet, is sauna therapy or infrared therapy. Now, when it comes to detox, there's two parts to skin because we should lose about a pound of waste through our skin every day if our skin is healthy. So one part of it is, using a skin brush to get rid of dead skin cells. And then the other part is sweating to help to actually remove the toxins. This is so important because there's so much pollution in our environment. In the food we eat, the air we breathe, the water we drink, the soil's contaminated with pesticides, herbicides, fungicides. So by using PMF therapy, a good diet, drinking plenty of clean water, along with sauna therapy, you can really help to flush all these toxins out of your body. So thanks for listening. There's a lot to say about fire, light, and detox and sauna therapy and light therapy. So check out energymedicine.com in the fire section. I have a lot of resources, tools, recommendations that I just wasn't able to fit into this video. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next video on air, oxygen, deep breathing, oxygen therapy. It'll be really exciting.